Good evening, this is the Oscar Expert here with Brother Bro. It's time to review Belfast. This is the newest film from Kenneth Branagh, who's bringing us a rather personal story that is said to be autobiographical of his time growing up in Belfast during a time of conflict breaking out in the streets between Christians and Protestants. Belfast has had a great week since its premiere at Telluride. People are like, this is winning the People's Choice. There's no doubt about it. And then when it does win the People's Choice, it's going to be the Best Picture frontrunner and it's going to win Screenplay.
Yeah, it ticks a lot of the marks of an Oscar bait film. It's in black and white. It has this whole ensemble of well-known cast members and everybody sort of gets their moment to shine. You're imagining SAG Ensemble as a nomination this will probably get. It's charming and funny. It has a really good sense of humor. It also touches on a part of history that not many people know about, tying in the intimate family life with a broader social unrest. That's for the Oscars. That's what they're here to watch and eat up.
And the main character has a love for cinema.
They threw that one in there for sure. And the movies are in color and the rest of it's not in color. I was really gripped by the first scene. In about a 5-minute sequence, I feel it like sums up exactly what is coming and what the movie is ultimately about. It does a really good job of doing that in a very concise way, and it feels very well made and well crafted. There's some really good attention to sound in these scenes, and another one later on, the use of music throughout a scene like really transforms it into something special.
Yeah, there were a lot of really strong directing choices here, like a lot of really good compositions. Some shots where I was thankful that Kenneth Branagh was willing to hold on it and we're just watching the actors in a longer take. And the cinematography looked really good too. It felt like the black and white was pretty well thought out. It's not like a Roma, stunning Mank use of black and white, but visually the film was a little stronger than I was even anticipating.
I actually do have a couple of bones to pick with the cinematography. At times the camera felt a little bit unmotivated or shaky, which is really not something I'd expect out of this film, especially if it's in black and white. I want everything to feel very precise. I didn't always feel it, and I also thought there was a little bit of an overuse of close-ups.
Oh, I like the close-ups.
No, I thought overall they were good. You really get everything that's happening on the actor's face, and there are a lot of rich moments in the film. I mean, every rich moment was kind of played out in a close-up. And each of these supporting characters gets their close-up moment. All of them do a great job. It's hard not to like any of these characters.
Everybody in the movie is very likable, and the movie's very sweet, and there are going to be moments that either make you cry or make you well up a little bit. I definitely felt that a few times. The movie overall just feels like a tribute to this family or a community of people. A lot of it is about like the people around our central character, kind of patting them and protecting like their innocence. The characters themselves are dealing with something very external, and there's not a lot of like personal internal conflict going on here. And for me, that resulted in the end sort of feeling like a bit of a fizzle because there wasn't a really strong character moment or decision. It just felt like kind of an obvious conclusion that we were sort of going towards the whole movie, and then it happened, and then it was over. It didn't really give me that wow moment that I was expecting, maybe just because I heard this was like a Best Picture frontrunner kind of movie. And there were other people who did seem moved in that way though. You know, people were crying in the theater at the ending, and I was just kind of not really quite there.
I do agree with all of that. The plot of the film was very simple and basic, which is not a bad thing. But I don't think it elevated beyond that in a way that was really interesting. But I think where the film shines is more about what we see of the family as we go on this journey and how we come to understand the child's relationship to everyone, and just the love for his parents and grandparents shines through. I think that is what makes the movie special. So while it doesn't have a strong arc for character development, I could see that aspect being enough for people.
So speaking of, you know, the family, we got like 5 central performances here. We got the kid, Jude Hill. He is the lead of the movie. He's a really great find. I mean, like we were saying, there are scenes where the camera is just like this close to his face, and he's not making any wrong moves. He's really good. He's very charming, and audiences are going to fall in love with him.
He's responsible for so much of what is funny in this film. His facial expressions are so charming and transparent. He was a great vehicle for this film, and he was the standout performance for me. He outshined everybody in a sense. He reminded me of the kid in Jojo Rabbit a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to see him have a career.
Aside from Jude Hill, I think the main standout for me was Katrina Balfe as the mother in this movie. She had a couple moments that were very, very strong from her. There was one that pulled me like very tightly into the movie emotionally, whereas I was kind of like on the outside waiting to get that. And then she just brought me in like very quickly. And I was like, oh shit. You did it.
Jamie Dornan was also a real standout for me. He plays the patriarch of the family, and he is, like the rest of the ensemble, very likable and funny. And the charm that comes through makes him someone that's really easy to relate to and understand. Those two performances were the strongest for me.
Yeah, I like that Jamie Dornan was like the protector of his family, and it felt like very safe to have him as the father.
But he's also not somebody who has all the power to do anything.
And honestly, when I watched 50 Shades, I was like, Dakota Johnson's very good and she's going places. I do not know about this other guy, but now I do know.
The other supporting performances that people are making note of is obviously Judi Dench is in this film. She plays the grandma. Like everybody else, likable and sweet. She doesn't get as much of a moment to shine as the previous two performers we mentioned. So I maybe would have wanted a little bit more out of her. A lot of the characters come through as like just a really warm personality. And I would say the same for the grandfather in the film, played by Kieran Hines, though he does have a really poignant moment, again, in a close-up that is very powerful. That's one of the highlights of the film.
He definitely had an Oscar moment, which I sort of wanted from Judi Dench a little bit more.
But when you say Oscar moment for that character, I don't know if it would have been an Oscar moment if they didn't just hold in a close-up. I think what Branagh does well is when there is a moment for a character to shine, he makes sure you see their fucking face as they deliver these monologues.
What do you think about who's getting nominated here? Because I've been hearing some rumors that maybe they'll put Balfe and Dornan in lead and then Hines and Dench in supporting. And in terms of screen time, like there is a sort of tiered distinction in my mind, but still it would be ridiculous if they put Balfe or Dornan in lead. That would be ridiculous. It's not even close. I don't think we should even be having that conversation anymore. I feel like the studio should definitely just put everybody in supporting. And if they did, I would definitely expect Balfe to be nominated.
I agree that it wouldn't be a good strategy to put anybody in lead except for Jude Hill, based on the fact that the screen time they all have is that of a supporting contender. And I mean, they're probably going to compete with people who have more screen time than them based on the category fraud we see every single year.
Mass.
Though we do have an example from last year, Minari, where Steven Yeun was campaigned in lead and received a lead nomination.
It made more sense in Minari to put Yeun and Yeri Han in lead. The screen time data actually played out, though, that Yeun was sort of close to Alan Kim. And this movie, it does not play out like. I also think if they put everybody in supporting, that Dornan could get nominated. At first, I thought it might be Kieran Hines, but I don't know. I think Jamie Dornan has a bigger presence in the movie, and he's campaigning already.
Oh, I strongly think if Dornan goes supporting, he will get nominated. That character is very lovable. Like, I think you come away with a really great impression of who that is.
And do you think Hines or Dench should get nominated in supporting, like as a double nominee? I mean,
I'd say they're all viable for supporting nominations. I wouldn't rule any of them out.
It's sort of questionable if they have like enough to do by the time that their screen time ends.
Yeah, I think Hines had like just enough because he did get that one moment. But Judi Dench, I didn't feel that I saw an Oscar moment from her in this film. Again, it was more of her presence that was felt, but not necessarily a character journey coming through or like who she really was deep down.
And at the same time, a performance like that could still get nominated if people just want to do it or they just love the film that much.
I mean, look at the film she won an Oscar for. She was barely even in that. So yes, they could nominate Judi Dench in supporting. I think absolutely. That stuff happens all the time.
For now, I'm probably going to predict Balfe and Dornan. As far as other nominations go, I think cinematography, because it's black and white, because it's the best picture contender in black and white. And the cinematography was pretty good. I don't think it would be entirely undeserved. Whereas with a movie like Nebraska, I did sort of feel like that was just because it was in black and white, but this one it's that and a little bit more.
I would say a little bit more, but not quite enough that I would have it on my ballot for cinematography.
Yeah. I think editing will happen for the movie too.
Yeah. Sound is something people are talking about because there are some riot scenes where the sound is very good. And if they absolutely love the movie, I can understand them nominating it there. But I don't think it's guaranteed.
Screenplay is definitely happening. Director, I think, is happening because it's not like he's Aaron Sorkin or Bradley Cooper, which people are probably going to say, oh, he's going to get snubbed. No, he's been nominated before. Like, he's already a respected director. He's been working for decades, and this is a very personal project. That's the whole narrative behind it. I think he'll probably get nominated for director. And then picture, I mean, yeah, it's going to get nominated. Is it going to win people's choice and become the front runner like we thought it would? Some people did leave the theater genuinely feeling, oh my God, of course this is winning Best Picture. But I have a hard time believing that this movie is just gonna be frontrunner status right now in September and go unchallenged, there are going to be other movies that have a lot of passion.
But you said it yourself, and I'm going to hold you to this. You said it's not wise to predict a film not in the festival circuit because no film since The Departed has won Best Picture and not been in the festival circuit. Is Belfast the top out of the batch that we have, that we got from this thing? And I think it is.
Out of the batch that we have, maybe, but that also leaves me thinking, like, I really don't know if we have the Best Picture winner yet.
There are so many years where we say that, and then we just have, it just comes down to the wire, and then something has to get it.
I know, but
like Shape of Water, 3 Billboards, it was like, can those win Best Picture? Like, no one's really sure. Maybe something else will come out, and it just doesn't happen.
But I would be, like, pretty underwhelmed if Belfast won Best Picture. And usually I like the Best Picture winners more. Usually I come out and I'm like, oh, like, yeah, that can win Best Picture. And I didn't feel that.
Win-wise, here's another interesting thing. If it wins Best Picture, screenplay would have to go along with that. They'd have to give it screenplay, and that would make sense.
They could give it director too, though.
I guess they could give it director. I think Katrina Balfe could win supporting actress, maybe.
I agree with
if
that.
it was gonna win Best Picture, why wouldn't you put it at number 1? It's the strongest out of the festivals. No,
so I don't think it's gonna win.
It's the strongest out of the festivals.
Yeah, but is it gonna win?
There's just nothing else out of the festival circuit. Right. Spencer,
but
Dune,
like
King Richard. Like, are you gonna put those at number 1?
No.
Power of the Dog, wouldn't put that at number 1?
No.
Okay, so you have Belfast at number 1. Congrats.
We'll have more for you when we update the predictions.
I was underwhelmed by this, given its front-runner status. The film overall was like a little bit too simple for me.
Yeah, I didn't think there was very much to it outside of like it being sweet, charming, you know, emotionally potent at parts. But the development of the story was lacking a little bit. I felt like the movie was an 8 out of 10 the whole time I was watching it. But the end felt kind of sudden, and I was like, oh, I guess that's it. And that kind of brought me down a little bit to a 7.
I agree, and I would also give it a 7.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Was your childhood in black and white?